Would you like to take your power back? If so, where did it go? Did you leave it somewhere? Is it the programs and belief systems that society has set up for you? Is that the reason you feel powerless? Are you not sure about who you are and what you're supposed to be doing on this big spinning ball hurtling through space? What is soul? What is spirit? What is the interpretation of that? And as long as you're pure of intent and the energy behind it is pure, does your interpretation matter? Or is it about the energy behind it? And does the universe know anyway? Welcome back, everyone. That's a few of the things that me and Martin covered off in this week's podcast. It's been a little while. However, I'm going to chuck a reflection on the end of this one just to discuss the goings on over the last few weeks. Won't be too long. However, I think it's important to say a few words. Coincidentally, this podcast is brought to you by Pure HK, which is Martin's business where he does Holographic Kinetics. I can highly recommend getting a session. Understand that spirit, as he understands it, will give you what you need through your intention. However, you must be willing to go there. So if you were to take a Holographic Kinetics session, I implore you to go there with an open mind and completely open to the process. Because if you do that, you can get real benefit out of it. As you can with a lot of other healing modalities. However, Martin's chosen Holographic Kinetics, and I respect that, and I appreciate that. For someone who's truly trying to apply themselves and make a difference and help people with their issues. As always, guys, really appreciate Jono for the intro and Rowdy for his music. We're going to use Bathe in the Sun on the intro just because of the stuff we talked about, and I just love that song. And you can find Martin on Pure HK on Facebook, and I'll put all the links to his website on the show notes. It's good to be back. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate your time. We haven't gone anywhere, just making sure we do quality over quantity and being sure about what we do. So again, thanks for your time. Enjoy the podcast. Enjoy the music. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Today I sat in a field of paper daisies. The gentle breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it. I think I might just bathe in the sun. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear those bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare. And I've done nothing wrong to anyone. Then I just want to be better, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am. Moonlit river flows by gently, like the ocean made from the earth. It is healing all of my inner bleeding, even though it's only pictures in my mind. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear these bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare. Don't stick those pins in the dog that looks like me. I'm burning up. 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 the sun. I think I might just bathe in the sun. I think I might just bathe in the sun.
G'day everyone, welcome back. We welcome Martin back to the podcast. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Very good.
We're in Martin's little, it's going to be a man cave. What do we call this?
I'm not sure what we call it.
A lean-to?
A shed.
A shed?
The shed.
The shed. Martin was nice enough to give me a HK treatment, some holographic kinetics, and this afternoon, and that was very intense and probably something I'll get into at another time. And we've just been talking before we turn the mic on about what we want to talk about today, and you decided that taking your power back.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a real battle going on for people these days where there's a lot of disempowerment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's just in the past few years, I think it's been a trend. And more and more people seem to be getting entrapped into, well, I mean, you know, you've got kids at school now with, it's not just asthma that we're diagnosing kids with these days. We've got ADHD and, you know, identity dissociative behaviours and all these different things. And the cure for all these things, which certainly was not on the table when I was a kid, is give them medication, give them some meds.
Yeah. Drug them up, dope them
take
up.
their power away.
Riddle them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all these different things and medications. Yeah, they're dumb them and numb them. I think it's
Well, I think it's a
term.
It's a societal thing too, though, isn't it, mate? You know what I mean? Like the opioid addiction worldwide is quite insane as well.
Exactly.
Which is taking your abilities away as well.
Yeah, and I think the battle at the moment is a battle for personal power, to find your personal space.
Absolutely.
Who are you?
Who are you? That's the quest for self, mate. Which is
exactly.
You know, one of the reasons this whole thing started was to explore ancient advanced megaliths and the quest for self.
Yeah, and the thing is, there are people with so many different things running. I mean, you mentioned drugs. I've mentioned medications.
Yep.
You know, programming.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I guess back in medieval times, I'm sure the programming wasn't as strong.
No.
You know.
No.
You were. I mean, I know you were born into a certain trade. You were a blacksmith,
trade and
or you made weapons, or you know, whatever. But I don't think so much from a control point of view, but more from the fact that people learn from their father, pass it down to the son. So if the father was a blacksmith, the son was a blacksmith.
Yeah.
His sons would be blacksmiths because that's what they knew.
Yeah.
It was a trade, and they didn't have TAFE colleges back then.
No.
You know. But so I think taking back our power is an important thing, and I think there's specifically good ways you can do that.
Yes, and it's not. And I think, well, one of the we did brush up on before we started was you mentioned that power isn't a physicality thing. I think it's an interpretation of perspectives of what we're talking about, because obviously the modern society, power is control, power is authority, power is, you know what I mean? Like, what is your actual interpretation of power?
Yeah.
And actually having power and using it for what it, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the...
Yeah, sure.
However, power, ego, you know, these things are all entwined together. And I think it's seen from a negative standpoint, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas,
you took the words out of my mouth when you said power and control. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Having power is not control.
No.
It can be control of yourself.
Yes.
Of your emotions.
Yes.
Of your actions.
Yes.
Of the things that you do. Yeah. But not control, as in power to control others. The thing what we're really talking about here is the power of self.
Yes.
What is it? Why are we here? I mean, we have people asking that question often enough. Why is it that we're here in this life? What's my purpose?
Yes. Yes. And I think a lot of people, as you say, are devoid of purpose. And my perception of that, some of that is to do with we are told what is going to make us happy. Materialism, capitalism.
Absolutely.
You know, these things, you adhere to society's rules, and surprise, society doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Or no, not society itself, but the things that our society is built on are not making you happy.
Well, that's the programming once again, isn't
That's
it?
the programming.
So what have you got? You've got you. You've got who you are.
Yep.
You've got your ego
Yep.
that you've built up over the years. You've got the programming that you've inherited from school,
Yep.
religion,
Yep.
parents,
Yep.
wherever, military.
Yep.
Then you've got things like I was mentioning about the drugs.
Yep.
Which and drugs is a really good. We should do a podcast on that specifically one day.
Yes,
Drugs
definitely.
are very, very controlling and very depowering, and have a frequency.
Yes.
The frequency of antidepressants is depression. And
Yes,
when,
that's right,
And when
yeah.
the antidepressant has eaten up your depression,
It goes
thereby
through-
curing it,
Yeah.
it then needs to be fed.
Mm.
You're taking more of these pills that feed on depression, so to speak. And so how's this thing going to get fed if you're not depressed?
Yeah.
You're going to make you depressed.
It's going to make you.
And you're stuck in that cycle. I'm depressed, I take the drugs.
But
I'm
a
not
lot of
depressed.
these, a lot of those
And it's a cycle.
Yeah, but those SSRIs, aren't they taking out? So to make you antidepressed, so they're taking out your bottom emotions.
Yeah.
But they're also taking out your ability to feel the top emotions as well.
Yeah, so
to
you get
keep
this
you
very,
in a
very grey person,
yeah.
you know,
And
work,
look,
earn money,
Yeah.
pay tax,
Yeah.
go home.
Go home, yeah, drink alcohol, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the drugs thing is an interesting one that
Oh,
we
it's
should definitely talk about.
definitely.
Drugs are an entity. They
Yes.
have an intent.
Yes.
They have a purpose.
Absolutely.
And
all
they, and
all
they can-
drugs are derived from plants. aren't
Yeah,
they? You know what I mean?
exactly. And it's the entity of the plant.
Of the plant
Yeah.
and what it's
and,
actually. Yeah.
and the intent. Intent is so important. The intent with which it's put together and what it's put together for
Absolutely.
comes through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's definitely a whole separate other podcast. However,
Yeah. So you've got all these things that they're all running. Which is the real you? Are you the programs? Are you the programs that your parents taught you, that the church taught you, that school put in you, that
Yeah.
that work drummed into you if you
Yeah.
did an apprenticeship or whatever it might have
yeah,
been?
yeah, yeah.
Are you your ego that you've built? Whether your ego is completely deflated by negative things that have happened, or you've your personality decided that you would tough up and be the bigger bastard because that was the best way to keep safe.
Yes, that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
are you that?
Are you-
know?
yeah, yeah.
But really, so I'd really like to talk about spirit, and specifically, spirit and soul are two words that are used interchangeably, but they are two separate things.
So would you?
In my belief system.
So within your belief system, this is very cool stuff. So within your belief system, I would separate them personally. So my belief system is the soul is your higher consciousness,
Okay.
is the essence of your higher consciousness. Your soul is that invisible power source that makes you conscious, that has come from the ether.
Sure.
Spirit, as far as I would see, as far as I believe, or not, you don't see spirit, however, is the great spirit. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
the spirit of the universe, the energy, the flow. You know, you tapping into flow. I think that's how I would
Okay.
perceive
Well, I probably have a similar take on it.
it. Yep.
But since I started studying holographic kinetics,
Yep.
which I believe the proof of the pudding in something is that it actually works.
Yes.
And so the holographic kinetics, Aboriginal healing modality, description of spirit and soul is quite different to that.
And look, it must be said too, guys, just so I'm open and honest to say that Martin was helping with some of my depressive tendencies today. That was actually the aim of the session.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was some very good work. You don't need to numb yourself out in order to work on yourself
No.
and get your power back.
Well, today was about getting some of your power back,
It
wasn't it?
was, man. It really
Yeah.
was. It
And
really
I'm
was.
really excited to see how your next week goes as
Yes.
it builds. It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
So
So,
sort of some stuff out.
so how does so you had a similar perception as me.
Yeah, but I studied holographic kinetics, which the founder Steve Richards, and if anyone's interested in it, I'd ask to certainly have a look at holographic-kinetics.com. There's lots of good information on that website.
Yeah, I'll get all those details off you, mate, so I
yeah.
can make sure I promote it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just a call out there to Steve, who's put this modality together. But besides that, the perception of soul and spirit. Okay, spirit is the essence of you. Spirit is each person has spirit, has a spirit. Your spirit. Okay, that spirit has progressed through the octaves from the ether through the next level to, say, plankton, early life sort of thing, through to more complex beings such as, I suppose, insects, then through to shrews, animals, then through to human, and who knows what's next. Okay, so there's a progression, and of course, underlying that is obviously an underlying belief that there must be incarnation.
Yes.
So spirit is the you behind you. It's your spark of life. When a baby's conceived, the two cells come together, spirit comes in at that point in time. And spirit's the part of you that's here to evolve, to learn in this mortal molecular world where we can bump into things, we can make mistakes, we can do wrong things, we can kill people, we can love people, we can do all those things that people do. We can take control over people, or we can find our power. Spirit is here in this mortal molecular world, having evolved to the level of human being, to learn and to evolve to the next octave, whatever that might be. And I don't have a theory on that at this point in time.
So just so I get an understanding of it, you're saying spirit is an individual. It's an individual
spirit
that's
is an
gone
individual
from
entity.
That's chosen its path, and now currently my spirit inhabits me and your spirit inhabits your body, our meat vehicles for this time period.
And a lot of other modalities call that soul.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Imagine those spirits on a journey. Your spirit. I mean, and you meet people who are sort of kindred spirits. Does that mean we're from the same spirit family?
Yes.
Does that mean we're from the same spirit essence? You meet someone who's like a, they call it soulmate. I'd call it spirit mate if I wanted to put it in this context.
In that context.
And is that person from the same spirit cloud?
Yes.
The same, I don't know.
And the thing is too, is that if you wanted to expand it to what we understand about space, is that there is clouds of matter out there that create stars.
Exactly.
Our matter is, we are made from the stars, you know what I mean? So
and there is a theory that spirit is created from light.
Yes.
Yeah.
From
stardust, basically.
Yeah, and that is. Look, you broke down a lot of the religions. It is actually just a light worshipping religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true enough too. Yeah.
So what is soul then? If that is
there's spirit, and spirit's on a journey.
Yes.
So spirit's on a journey through the octaves, and in human form, progressing through from, if we were to take it, excuse me, take it from a historic perspective.
Yeah.
Where wish I had a drink of water. Excuse me. Where looking at history and looking at time as linear, from caveman, club, woman, man, whatever. Be on this earth to bump up on a few things, knock your neighbour over the head with his club, steal his wife, whatever. That kind of very, very primitive kind of, very non-enlightened, if we can say so, humanoid, through to today, via the ages of the Vikings and the ages of the Renaissance, etc., etc., and you see humanity hopefully evolving, at least on some level or another. And here we are. Okay, so to get to that point, spirit having had all those different bodies, each one of those bodies is a soul that makes you. You're Triffin, I'm Martin. This is the soul. Okay, not the body, but the soul. And the soul is that part of you that records all the events that go on throughout your life. Soul's a bit like this device we're talking into now. It's recording everything.
Yes.
So spirit needs a vehicle to go through. The vehicle is the body.
Yep.
The soul is the collective experiences that body, that person, has had in that lifetime. Okay.
So your soul is separate each time around.
Yeah, different soul, different incarnation, different life, different soul. But the soul is also the sum of your genetic hereditary line. So the memory of your ancestors comes together at, there you are, you've got your mum, your dad, bang, baby created. You've got all the memories of the ancestors. And that hologram of that person, bang, in comes spirit, says thank you, this is a vehicle that I plan to use for this incarnation, to work out karma, to learn, to evolve, and probably make some more mistakes maybe as well. Okay, so that's your soul, and that's you recording stuff that's happening. It becomes part of spirit's story.
Yes. Okay, that's very interesting. Do you want to pause and get a drink of water, mate?
No, I think I'm right now.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. So we got spirit, we got soul, and we got body.
Yep.
So it's sort of like the Trinity.
Yeah, body, mind, spirit. Yep.
Yeah, body, mind, spirit. Yeah.
So you think that's interesting.
So if you have body, mind, spirit, well, mind, not specifically, but mind would be the soul part.
Mind would be the soul part.
Yeah.
And I think you there is those three things, isn't there? Because obviously genealogically, you look like your parents, you act like your parents. Especially when you become a father, you find yourself doing things that your father's done. You catch yourself and go,
is that a program, or is it just built into our DNA at a genetic level?
Well, I mean, there's obviously building blocks in our DNA. If you watch our toddlers walk, and they, you know what I mean, all the things that we do as humans, there's obviously stuff from the past built into our DNA, and like I know that my grandfather has had a sixth sense. He probably still does. Has a sixth sense of humour. Likes to scare people and all that sort of stuff. My father does, and so do I. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So it's like there's definite things genealogically that are passed down. Yeah,
but it's not just those kind of physical traits.
It's the traumas as well.
It's the traumas too. In fact, I had a person, I gave a holographic kinetics session to, the one I'm thinking of was about a year ago, who has had a really sore hip. She had a hip replacement and the pain still didn't go away. So she'd done all this physio, had an operation, still got a crooked leg. Had a session, went back to her great-grandmother who had a crooked leg, and the pain of the leg came down from the grandmother. We healed it in the past for the grandmother, so holographic kinetics, healing the past and the present for the future. We healed the trauma of the grandmother, and that lady got off the table with no more pain, and it hasn't come back yet.
Wow.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow.
So you've got that. You can inherit the trauma of the grandparents. And physical trauma, yes. Emotional trauma, yes. So I suppose... Not that I want to be racist in any way, because I'm not. But you look at people who come from lands where there's been just total generations and generations and generations of warring and tribal conditions and fighting.
Yeah.
Take any part of Africa, for instance, and like I say, I'm not being racist in any way. You can take all parts of Europe as well. You can probably take parts of Australia.
Absolutely,
but when you've got generations and generations of warring and fighting, well, it's in their genetic line, and these people, it can be healed. They can take back their power. You don't have to. Whatever your genetic line is, I'm Northern England, and sometimes I act like that. Yes. I'm sure if I was from an African country where we only put our spears down a couple of decades ago, I'd be pretty quick to pick one up if I needed to. That's right. What I'm saying. It's,
absolutely. Absolutely.
But then to be able to heal the trauma of the genetic line, you can clear that out of your field. You can gain your power back in that way. Plus, if you were to heal the trauma of an ancestor, say a great-grandfather, it will not only clear the trauma for the great-grandfather and the person who's having a holographic kinetic session in this case, but it will clear everybody who was born under the dimension of the great-grandfather.
Right.
So if he's had 6 kids, right, and they've had 6 kids, there's 36 people, and then maybe there's 6 kids in this family, so whatever 6 times 36 is, that's how many people you're actually healing by going back in time and healing that ancestor.
I suppose, I mean, obviously I had quite an in-depth session today, and obviously you're resetting changing the reality of the situation as it was.
Yeah.
And obviously to make yourself feel better and make it the ideal situation for you to move forward without that trauma in your life. I understand that. But does it take the lessons away?
No, I don't think it does at all. Yeah. I've probably had personally hundreds of sessions, because when you do a 7-day course in this and then you repeat the course, I've done the course like 8 times. Yeah. So I probably had, I don't know, a couple of hundred, maybe more sessions. And although I do advise my clients not to dwell on the old dimension, because that's the dimension that we're looping back on itself and clearing.
Yes.
I still remember those. I still remember some of the decisions that I made back in time that have not served me well. So those lessons are still to be learned. The thing is, that lesson is still not kicking me in the bum.
Yes, right. It's not. It's not a negative belief pattern that's continually not serving.
Yeah.
So therefore, getting back to what we want to talk about. Yeah. That is allowing you to take your power back.
Absolutely.
Right. And I'm
just about to say that myself. Yeah.
And
so,
I think
so by clearing some trauma of the past, which is, because there's, what's happening, how's it making you feel, and what decision do you make as a result of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So there you are. Your what's a good example? There you are. Well,
have the wool taken out from underneath, the rug pulled out from underneath you unexpectedly.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I have had an experience in a session where I was become this great, crazy warring person with a big white horse, having a great time, hacking and slashing and killing people. Yeah. But that power that I had taken on to be that person was a negative power. Yes. And that negative power had been causing me troubles even to the current day, although that lifetime was many, many lifetimes away, And so in understanding law, that if you are to kill someone or some animal or some, that you do not have permission to do so. Not that anyone has permission to kill anyone, but you can have permission to take an animal for food, for instance. Yes. I don't know whether we spoke. I know it was on the mic. I think we actually covered it last podcast. We might have done, where most indigenous people, Aboriginals plus everything, they will call on the spirit. If they're going hunting the next day, they'll sit around the campfire that night and they'll get on the didgeridoos or whatever or their tom-tom drums or whatever they're using. Call the spirit of that animal in. They'll call the spirit of the animal in and ask, say, we need food, and an animal spirit who's ready to move on, that's finished with its vehicle, that's learned its lessons for this incarnation, who's ready to move on to future cycles of time, will deliver itself to them. It will say, here I am. And by asking permission, then there is no breaking law. No, law, but law is in L-O-R-E. L-O-R-E, yes, thanks for clarifying that. Law is in... Not law, law. Law is in the law as in law of the universe. Law of the universe, and its returns. Yeah. I suppose the hard thing about these things, because we talked about programs, we talked about belief systems and patterns and stuff that you're in, because obviously I've been
going through a process over the last few years of trying to take my power back to be who I'm supposed to be, and it's very easy these days to kick back on the recliner with a bucket of cold soup.
Yeah, true it is.
And pretend that your problems don't exist.
Yeah, yeah. That's our society at the moment, isn't it?
You know.
Yeah. You
Because
can avoid responsibility quite easily.
absolutely you
society.
can. Absolutely. You
Yeah.
can. And you can avoid the things that aren't serving you and blame someone else because, in a sense, we have a blame culture where it's actually people will support you when you blame someone else
Yeah,
for something that you probably did yourself.
yeah.
You know. And to take your power back, I was having a conversation with Kath about this last night. Actually, it's like these things are very simple, right? This doesn't serve you. Face it, heal it, move on with newfound energy and purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. It's how you remove those things, though, isn't it?
That's right.
And what you replace them with.
Yeah.
Because it's like any habit, and a lot of these programs, I suppose you can call them habit. You know, like we said, there's programs. There's all sorts of different dimensional things that can be affecting you at this point in time that are stealing your power. I was Googling some stuff on YouTube the other day and came across some stuff on soul contracts,
Yes.
which is an interesting way of explaining how negative energies can attach to your field. And they take a little bit of your soul, interesting, I think it's probably a little bit of your spirit,
Yes.
and locks your spirit in a little bit, and thereby
Locks you in a
draining
certain
some of
pattern.
your power. You know, there are entities that entities being, in this case, negative energies that can actually etherically lock onto you.
Yes.
You know,
I think
you can pick them up in pubs.
Yes, you can. You can. Well, and I was talking to, obviously, Kath makes the mists, and it's the way that all started is she made a mist for me because I couldn't sleep, because you walk into some of those rooms when I was doing FIFA and it's like, you don't know what the bloke behind you before you was doing in that room, and you don't probably want to think about that, you know what I mean?
Negative energy there.
And you can't sleep. But we've all walked into a space where we've gone, oh crap, there's something not right here.
Exactly.
We've all met a person and gone, what the hell's going on there?
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
away.
Yeah.
But make the shackles stand up. That's negative and positive energy. It's
Yeah.
not. I think these things that we're discussing and using as tools now to try and get your power back are moving away from being woo-woo. You know what I mean? I mean, because we're understanding that it's not. It's energy affects everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're in a multidimensional world.
Yes.
We're a multidimensional being.
Yeah.
There are things affecting us that you cannot perceive from a physical perspective.
Yeah. We've got right now. We're sitting here. and We've got thousands of muons and particles passing through us at any one
Speak of all the
time.
microwaves from the telephone towers and stuff.
Well, that's right. Well, we've got two phones next to us. You know what I mean? Like there's.
And it's just a spectrum. We're looking at the visible light spectrum. We're living in a particular dimensional world on the Earth here.
I didn't used to know the number, but it's a very high percentage of stuff of the actual UV spectrum that we just don't see.
Totally. Oh, it's probably infinite amount that we don't see.
We just don't
because when
see
does it stop and finish?
That's right. Yeah. Well, I saw an article. One of the coders sent it to me that they think the atmosphere of our Earth goes past the moon. Like it never actually stops. It just
I'm sure it does.
dissipates.
Just dissipates. Yeah.
Yeah. The energy runs out eventually.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So taking back your power. Okay. What's the key to that? I think the key to taking back our power is to acknowledge our spirit, to become aware of our spirit, the true who I am.
And that's an interesting question, because who are you? I used to pose it to people and go, who are you? But then I look them in the eye and go, it's not the car you own, it's not your job, it's not your missus, it's not your house.
That's so true.
It's nothing to do pretty much with anything you do every day.
Yeah.
Who are you?
It's not your job, it's not your possessions. Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, it's not what you've been.
At the end of the day, many people couldn't answer that question because they are their HSV or the Alpha Romeo. They are their house. They are their, and they are their job. I mean, who are you? I'm a bricklayer. I'm a carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who are you?
Who are you?
What are you doing your day off?
Yeah, what's behind that?
Exactly. Yeah, but to so yeah, as people start to acknowledge their spirit, and how do you do that? Realistically, you want to sit down one day and say, "Hey, spirit, spirit of me, spirit of mine, my spirit, that spark of life, that is the kernel of who I am, the seed of who I am. Acknowledge you. Show me the keys. Show me the way forward."
And you are correct there. And it's interesting how these different modalities and opinions take shape, because what I was told to do was talk to my higher self, which is the same thing.
Yeah, higher self's above spirit.
Yeah.
So
ask them questions.
Yeah.
And get a yes/no answer.
Yeah, or just wait for the answer to come. And, some people find this very easy to do.
Yes.
I have people who come and have a holographic kinetics session, and of course the very first thing we do in a session, after asking permission of the person to work with them, is I ask for permission to work with their spirit. And straight away, on the arm, hold firm for yes, let go for no, through the kinetic testing. It's not really kinetic testing, but it's a muscle test that says the spirit can actually give a yes/no answer without any interference of the brain. Straight away, I'm talking to that person's spirit. It's that fast, and there's no mucking around. I've never had a client yet that didn't have a spirit. I've never had a client yet the spirit didn't talk to me. And I've never had a client yet that when I ask spirit, what's the cause of this effect? At what age in this life was this issue that you're looking at now? What age was it activated? And what's the emotion behind it? I always got an answer. And just like we did with you today, my God, it's super accurate.
It is actually.
Because Spirit's just sitting there saying, hey, I got all the answers.
Yeah.
You know what? All you got to do is acknowledge me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, obviously, using the body, I think it was body, mind, soul, or something like that. It was like, just do it, it's okay. I'm scared, no, yes, no. And the end part was like, it was soul. If you two would just shut up, I'd show you the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's I suppose it's seeing through the static and seeing through the belief systems, I think, is it?
There's assumptions and beliefs.
Yeah.
Programs, all those things.
Yeah.
There's the ego. I mean, when you've got someone laying there on the table having a holographic kinetic session, you've got the egos trying to get a going.
Yeah.
People's preconceived notions about I've been to this past life before. I know exactly what went on. Some people do. I mean, you had searched past lives before, so you did. But in your case, I mean this, in your case, they were accurate and they were right on the button.
Yeah.
I've had people get on the table and gone off with the fairies. They're seeing unicorns and bloody flying pigs or something. It's like, come back to reality. But most of the things that are affecting us in this life, they can either be because they've been created in this life.
Yes.
Can be some trauma that's been created that can be looped back on itself and fixed. Or it can be from a past life, or down the genetic hereditary line.
Yes.
But if it's an issue that's affecting you in this day and it's taking your power, then it has to have been somehow activated in this life.
Yeah.
And here's a good example of something being activated. There's a person who, as a young child, about 6 years old, was in an electrical storm. There was an electrical storm, and she's in the house trying to shut the bathroom window. Parents had left her and her brother on their own at that young age.
Yeah.
And she's trying to shut the bathroom window. Lightning hits, and she got zapped by the lightning and thrown across the bathroom. Boom, smash. Okay.
Right.
Wow, pretty frightening stuff.
Yes.
And let's bear in mind that emotion and physical impact locks in that energy.
Yeah,
locks
absolutely.
in that crystal.
Yeah.
This woke up a past life, which had been bugging her, and the past life had to do with suicide, feeling worthless, and being deformed. She wasn't deformed, but she certainly felt worthless, and she had suicidal thoughts.
Right.
So anyway, it goes back to past life, We finally worked out, because sometimes when you go back to a past life, people see nothing. And you think, can we see nothing? In this case, she was unconscious in a military hospital with a leg blown off. She'd been blown up by a bomb. Boom. So it was the
force,
the boom of
thing.
being blown up by the lightning.
It shocked her back.
Woke that past life memory up. And of course, she in that past life had been badly injured, unable to walk, unable to function, and probably through what we would now call PTSD, which used to be called shell shock, which is a bit more to the point in that case, committed suicide. And of course, in so doing, had traumatised her spirit.
Yes.
Suicide will traumatise spirit. And so we fixed that, and she's cool. She's good now. But it's a good example of how a past life trauma can be reactivated.
Yes.
In this life. I mean, you wouldn't want to come into this life with all your past life trauma on board.
No.
You'd be in an asylum straight away.
Yeah, you'd be in a bit of a state. Yeah.
You would be, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I think that's right. So you start asking questions of yourself, I think, because I find it seems to be more, whether it's because I'm part of the group of people that are trying to ask those questions, or whether it's because it's actually happening more. Do you think it's happening more? People are starting to question themselves to figure out what the fuck's going on? Or
I think so. I think in this age, we're here. I believe we're at the end of a cycle.
I believe so.
Or another.
Yeah.
I think this is a big one.
Yes.
A lot of people are saying a lot of stuff, but there again, there's also a lot of interconnectivity of people and ideas and thoughts, and with the internet and such.
Well,
so
that's it. We haven't had the level.
More chatter out there,
we haven't had the level of connectivity. That's
sort
the
out
question.
the wheat from the chaff.
That's right.
But I do believe that we're at the end of the cycle, and at the end of the cycle is probably the time where spirit can evolve to the next octave.
Yeah.
So there'll be some people who've gone through life and through many lives, many souls. Their spirit's gone through many souls at a point where they've balanced out their karma. Past deeds done, balanced out now, and are ready to. Their spirit is ready to be reborn into the next cycle. You know, and that happens. We had a thing that we did in class where we took people back to the last incarnation they had, where they were an animal.
Oh, okay.
Really interesting stuff. And healed the trauma of death at the end of. So that's the end of an octave, right?
Right.
Your octave as being an animal.
So,
right?
You've learned all you need to learn.
You've learned all you need to learn as an animal. What was it that made you decide to move on? Interesting responses. What some people have.
Yeah.
And heal the trauma of death. And over about maybe 8 or 9 sessions that I've either delivered or been witness to, probably 7 or 8 of those people were still at this stage. Don't forget, they were an animal, and then they've come through human lives. They were still being traumatized by the trauma of death at the last octave. Interesting stuff, hey?
That is interesting.
And they're going, wow, I always wondered why this bugged me or that bugged me, you know? Yeah, interesting stuff. So, you know, that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense. But I suppose when you... And this all is around taking power back, because it's about having a depth of understanding about who you are, where you've come from, because through that you can see what you're now supposed to do, and you look into what your passions are, or what really excites you. You know, what do you actually want to do with yourself? Not what we're told to do, but as you say, what do you do on your day off?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, what do you do on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Or what do you want to be doing? You know what I mean? Like you get
Exactly, yeah.
and in order to look, I know for myself personally, as it takes discipline to try and get your power back, and effort and honesty, radical honesty. You know, I think I posted something the other day that you might have commented on, where it's like the level of honesty that it takes for you to actually get your shit together is something you're not even aware of.
Yeah. Until you realise that you're the one that's been stopping you getting your shit together.
That's right. Yeah.
Wasn't that the cliche?
Yeah, that's the cliche. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's being honest with yourself. The only person who's stopping any of us from getting our shit together is us.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
Yeah.
and look, and that's not to take away, like we've been talking about,
No,
different traumas, different things that happen, different belief systems that affect you, your family. All these things are a factor.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the day, it's you that controls that.
Yeah.
And you've got to. And it's like, oh, I've had a few people. Where do you start? Well, you start at the start.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. First of all, I think it's really important. I would say, after having done the holographic kinetics for 2 and a bit years now, and actually having maybe nearly 4 years since I had a first session, which was life-changing for me, I would say the very first thing anyone should do that wants to get their power back, as I said before, is acknowledge spirit.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you don't know what that is.
No.
Spirit knows that you know what.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like spirit is sitting there. It's sitting there, and it's saying, "Where are you taking this vehicle to? Come on.
Yeah. What are we
Let's
doing?
go. What are we doing next, guys? Partying again?
Yeah.
Going on drugs?
Yeah.
Oh no, we're going to do something different this time.
Right.
We're going to have a really good night without drinking, or I don't know, whatever. You know?
Whatever it is.
Anyway, so acknowledge spirit. Start realizing there's a part of you that's here for a purpose, you know, and then, you know, action and reaction. How often are we caught between someone says something that shits you off and you just immediately get upset about it? Bang! Action, reaction, action, reaction. Start to understand the times when you get triggered.
I think it's
what triggers you.
It's observation, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
it
you're
is.
right.
Step back there. Look at yourself. What shat me off today?
Yeah.
I really hated it when so and so said something, and I just got so angry about it.
So
okay,
why does that
what's
word have
happening there?
power over you?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so the trick is then to try and get a little bit of space between action and reaction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know, when you start to see the things that trigger you, you know, here comes Lucy again, or whatever, you know,
it is,
whoever it is. Oh God, she's going to do that thing again. All right, see you coming. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
You've got 2 choices. You can just do the same thing you did last time.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 choices. You can walk away before she gets here.
Yeah. You can get
or you can deal with it better.
deal with it better. Be proactive.
And I would say
instead
running
of
away from it ain't going to help you.
No, it's not.
Because there'll be another lesson to learn.
Yeah, being proactive or instead
Be
of reactive.
proactive, yeah. Okay, so it's the old count to 10 thing. I know it sounds so lame, but start to practice a little bit of space between action and reaction.
Yeah, 1.
And when you get
two,
that
3
little
to
bit
5
of
seconds,
space, you can then make a choice.
Yeah.
You can decide whether you're going to let that upset your day, or you can decide whether you're going to just blow it off and just move on.
It's interesting. So I in my teaching and stuff like that, I could posit a thing is 3 to 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing something, take 3 to 5 seconds, to make sure you're actually doing it correctly. You know what you're doing. And I had a good mate of mine, now is my student, Jackson, and he comes to me and he goes, bro, he's a big Kiwi guy. He goes, bro, my wife likes me again. I said, why? He goes, well, I applied the 3 to 5 second rule with her. I actually think about what I'm saying.
Exactly. He's taken back his power.
He's taken his power
and look
back.
at
He
the
doesn't
result.
have to react.
I mean, you know.
And that guy now he's an inspiration, man.
Absolutely.
He's doing so well, and like he's taken the simple teachings, and even those first 2 we talked about. It's amazing that obviously you have your perception through holographic kinetics and the stuff that you've been doing.
Yeah.
I've been talking with so many different people. And do you know what the interesting thing is, mate?
What's that?
It's all the same.
Yeah.
It's different wording.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
wording, different intent, not, but same intention.
Well, same intent, different way. I mean, if you call your spirit soul and your soul spirit or whatever,
Spirit doesn't care, or
I mean,
soul doesn't. They don't
yeah,
particularly care.
it specifically makes a difference if you're a practitioner who's working at the level that I'm working when I'm doing holographic kinetics.
Your intent needs to be very specific.
It needs to be very specific. I mean, you know, and what you ask spirit for, you're the person's spirit, not the spirit in the sky. That'd be more like the higher self or whatever. You have to be very specific. The spirit will give you whatever you ask. If you ask, like this guy came along, he wanted to know why he couldn't get a job.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. And he found out why he couldn't get a job. And he come back, had another session to get a job. Because he didn't ask for a job, he asked to find out why he didn't get one.
Yeah, why he couldn't get
we
one.
found out why he didn't get a job, but he didn't get one
Yeah.
until he said, okay, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to ask specifically. I want a job. What's stopping me getting a job? Move it out the way. I need a job. And he got a job within a week. Bang. Yeah. So you're very specific with spirit. The spirit, you see, you know, this stuff works. Whether you're a bad person or a good person, for want of better words. I mean, you know, if a robber goes into someone's house, turns the light switch on, the electricity still works.
That's right. Yeah, that's
You
that
know?
analogy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, it works for good people, it works for bad people. So if any of our listeners here think that they're a bad person, it won't work for them, I've got news for you, it will.
Yeah.
because your spirit does not see good and bad.
No, that's
the spirit
right.
does not judge. And I'm not giving anyone a license to go out and do wrong things here, because your spirit will not judge you, you will judge you. Well,
That's right.
you will be judged because you will be judged by the laws of law of the universe.
Yeah.
You do the wrong thing, you have to make it up. You've got to have balance. If the universe was out of balance, then as we see in societies where societies are out of balance, we're out of balance, we're killing the planet.
Oh yeah, we're definitely
You
out of
know?
balance, yeah.
I mean, that's because there's so many human beings who are transcending law, LORE,
Yeah.
mowing down forests, killing animals.
In the quest for something that isn't that
Yeah.
important at the end.
Like
you know
the
what I mean?
Indian guy, he says, you know, when the last tree's been burnt down and the last river's run dry, tell me how much your money's important then.
That's right. Yeah.
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 Those
And I think
bats.
that it's very cool. So for me, I'm interested to see if you agree with this. So first step is approach spirit, higher
Acknowledge
self,
your spirit.
acknowledge
Yeah.
spirit, in whatever form. And as you say, it doesn't matter what your belief system is around that; it'll sort itself out, right? Step 2, observe.
Yeah.
Find the space in between spaces and try and think
Find the
about
space between
why.
action and reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and think about why you are acting the way that you act,
Yeah.
right?
And then try and get some space there so that you are actually taking control over your emotions and your reactions.
Yeah. And guys, 3 to 5 seconds is
Yeah.
actually all it takes.
Yeah.
Could even be less than that.
Yeah.
Just to think about what's going on for a second.
Yeah.
And then, do you think, from my perspective, and this is just my journey, the third step is application. You know what I mean? Or employing some form of discipline, employing something that you want to help you achieve a goal and to deal with those things that are holding you back.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there are some things that you need the assistance of other people
Yes.
to clear.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to be clearing spirits out of the field, interdimensional entities out of the field and things like this, we need to go to a person who's a specialist in doing that. You know, go get a holographic kinetic session
Yes.
and clear that. But, you know,
You
there are things
really need a
once you-
basis of understanding, though, don't you, mate?
Yeah,
Don't
you
think?
take responsibility for your stuff.
Yeah.
Get that space between action and reaction,
Yeah.
and then the things that you can't manage
Control.
yourself, seek assistance in those areas, and there's, you know, so put a bit of that ego aside
Yes.
and say, hey, I need a bit of help with this. I don't know. You know, as a holographic kinetics practitioner, I find that to be the most succinct way to fix practically anything is to get a session, and there are plenty of practitioners throughout Australia that you can go and see. But there are other avenues as well, and different personal choices for different people. We're just looking at an amazing number of bats flying through the air here. That's why we're getting a little bit off track.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And Triffin's taking photos of them.
I'll put them up on Instagram because there's
about 50,000 bats living in a bat colony down the creek.
Thousands
So
of
as long as they stay away during the day, it's okay. They can be a bit smelly sometimes.
Yes, thousands of them. We're trying to.
But mate, given that I'm starting to get bitten by mosquitoes, maybe we should wrap this up for today.
We should wrap it up, mate. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Look, the thing is, for people that are trying to apply this stuff, the first 2 or 3 steps, and I suppose acknowledging some of the things that we've talked about today is the start of it, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, I think, as we've said, you know, me and Martin have spoken a bit since we met. I wish we had a microphone every time we actually chatted. Some of the stuff
It'd be
is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
However, look, thanks for your time, mate, and thanks very much for the session today.
Yeah, cheers.
And
there are a lot of topics I'd like to cover. I'd like to tell people about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I think this is a good start. I'm back. Had to cut that one off there because like 2 seconds after that podcast finished, a bat knocked a big branch down onto the roof, and it made that hell of a sound that scared the crap out of both of us. So I thought I'd cut it off there. The podcast had finished anyway, and the bats were amazing. I would have put a clip up on Instagram by the time you're listening to this, so check that out. They were truly something to see. It has been a little while since you guys have heard from me, and if I'm honest, we had a couple of failures, and not failures in the point that they were bad podcasts. In fact, Quest for Self 5 that I did with Frank on energy was a fucking awesome podcast. Just a bunch of bloody cicadas or tomatoes, whichever way you want to say it, ruined the audio. And it's actually made me a bit more conscious about audio and about our sound, and I'm looking into improving that another step, because I love doing the outdoor podcast, but I realise that the ambient noise can be a little distracting. And there's obviously ambient noise in this one, as you've already heard. However, the way I directed the microphones kept it to a minimum. And as I say, I'm looking into technology to make sure that we can block that out a little bit further and still get the feeling of the outdoor podcast, because I do really enjoy them. And it's more about quality over quantity. I think maybe in the past that to get content out there, I stand by all the podcasts that I've released. However, there was at times where I've punched them out and maybe haven't given a lot of thought to the process behind some of them. And obviously I really want to do something with this. So coming into the new year, I'm having a rethink about marketing strategies and getting it out to more people. And if you guys are listening, I really appreciate your time. Our long-term listeners, thank you very much. Do spread the word. And I'm looking into getting some different guests and spreading the reach and really trying to connect through the World Wide Web and talk to some of the people that are here locally in Australia. And look, there may be a few over the phone podcasts just to get some different guests on, and I understand that their time is limited and getting out to the studio or me going to them may not be the best option. And the one that we did with Damo that was over the phone wasn't too bad. So I can, that's a version that I'm open to from time to time. Obviously face to face is better. However, I want to get some more interesting guests. I want to widen the reach of the podcast, and I want to widen the range of opinions that we get and the people that we get onto the podcast. So just being very conscious of that, I decided not to release the last couple. And as I say, the Quest for Self-Fire with Frank, there's nothing wrong with the conversation. It was wicked. In fact, I sent it to like 3 people to try and tune out the audio, but it was just no dice. It just couldn't be done. And this is proper guys with proper audio programs, and they couldn't dial it out. So it was far past my audio editing ability, but it was also past a few others. And the other one we recorded, we went deep down a rabbit hole that deserves a lot more attention and time. And we tried to record a podcast, and it just didn't flow and it just didn't work because we tried to back it off, but we'd gone too deep down the rabbit hole as far as information goes, and it just didn't work. And the subject matter is very important. I'm going to keep mum on that for the moment because we want to give it its due respect and its due time. So I look forward to that one. There's some really cool subjects. Been doing a lot of research, been doing a lot of digging, and looking into, as I say, different ways to grow the podcast and different guests to come on the podcast. So we haven't gone anywhere. Just quality over quantity and making sure the intent and everything that we're doing here at the podcast is what we set it out to be, so we can give the best experience to our awesome audience members. I'm going to chuck Plain Lady Jane on the end. Just decided. Because I love that song as well. As always, thanks for your time. Thanks to Rowdy for letting us use his music. Thanks to Jono for the intro. And a special thanks to Martin for his time and for him to give me the HK session that he gave me. I want to do a bit more on that, but I think that's a separate session to this one. I want to keep this podcast as it is. So enjoy, guys. Always a pleasure bringing these podcasts to you. And as I say, just want to make sure about quality over quantity and that we're getting the right content out there that is deserved to our awesome audience. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
1, 2